Hey Doug, how you doing? Oh, I'm the host now. Okay. Oh, uh-oh. Where did Dougie go? James, are you hearing me okay?
I hear you just fine. I saw Doug pop on and then was gone just as quick.
Yeah, he made me the host, I guess, so that I can share my screen. Okay, how you doing?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm okay. Don't give many Zoom presentations or really make slide decks very often, so this has been an interesting experience.
Good deal. You got it.
Thank you. Hey Doug,
Hey, what's up, homies?
how are you? You're
I'm
outside
good.
again.
Yeah, it's my only time to exercise, so I'm gonna exercise, but I'm gonna hold up my phone so I can look at your slides while I do it.
Well, I would hope so. I worked really hard on them,
I know.
so I would
I'm
think.
excited, and I'm
Yeah,
recording this too. Is it okay if I put it out on the podcast?
yeah, I think so.
Cool.
Unless things go horribly wrong, but
I can't imagine that.
I just it's a Zoom presentation, so sure.
And then would you want? I'm happy to open up with us with a prayer,
Okay,
and then we'll just pick somebody to close us down.
okay,
Cool.
that's cool.
Awesome. How are you today?
I'm good. I've been working on this all day.
Oh, awesome. Oh, I'm excited. Very, very
Yeah,
excited. I've been thinking about it all day too.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's certainly kind of unknown territory for me, so that's a good thing.
You mean like presenting this particular
Like
topic?
like making a PowerPoint
Oh
slide deck
yeah.
and um, talking about Unitarianism and stuff.
Yeah.
It's been good. It's been a good shakeup
Awesome, man.
because
Well,
I'm not getting graded, right?
only if eternal heaven or eternal hell,
Oh, okay,
only if
okay.
that.
All right. Well, I'm not to worry about.
No, of
No.
course. And we learn from each other. That's the beautiful thing about this group too, is I mean, you could say whatever you want, and it would be new for many of us, but especially me. But we learn from each other, and it's a great opportunity to hone those skills and presenting too.
Yes, yes, it is.
Hey, everybody, good to see y'all.
Doug's out there jazzercising.
Yeah, when I do this, I get a pace. I cannot not hear this in my head. It goes like this: boots and pop and boots and pop and boots and pop and.
You do you.
Well, I'm just trying to, uh, you know, this is mental health too. To get out there and walk. I tell my clients that walking is awesome, so I better do it myself, huh?
Are you barefooted, Doug?
No, I walk around barefoot, but when I walk fast, I don't walk barefooted.
Is Frankie with you?
Now, the piano teacher, which is every Tuesday night, so I'm over in a different area, she really dislikes dogs. So if I ever
Wow.
had to go inside her house, I couldn't bring Frankie in.
Uh, okay.
And I see about 20 rabbits around me. So it wouldn't be very fun walk with her anyways.
Where are you walking?
Plano, Plano, Texas.
Okay.
You know where
That
that's at,
was
right?
what's that?
I'm sure you know where that's at.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They got Mr. DeMarcus and see Elizabeth and Rudy, Troy, of course, Big D in Wyoming there, um, and Barbara. Awesome. Danny, is it still a little chilly up in those parts?
We got up into the higher 50s
Oh,
yesterday.
okay.
Though we had like 6 inches of snow again that stuck around and we hit the low 20s, but we needed some moisture pretty bad.
Oh,
But spring's underway a month early, so we're happy for that.
huh. Very good.
Rudy has a new symbol. It's exciting.
Love it.
It is. It is the Persian buttercup rose in solidarity with
Oh,
our
yes.
family out in Iran,
Iran.
our collective family.
Yep. It's great. My heart has been super anxious all day. And I talked to Austin, and he said the same thing.
Apparently, a 2-week ceasefire was called at the very, very last second.
Yeah. Well, it got me to publish part 5 on the Great Bash. They just keep giving me great topics, such as fucking open the straits or we're going to bomb you and remove your entire civilization. I mean, that was a good Great Bash topic. So I published that today.
Does writing that help you? I mean, is it an outlet? Because man, I need an outlet when I read stuff like that. I don't know what to do with myself.
Yeah. Well, it is only because for me, I feel like I've gotten some way to understand it metaphysically. Now, is it all delusion? Maybe, I don't know, but it makes sense to me, the thought form. And I feel like I feel like my role is to help diagnose the issue as they arise so we can see. And, a few people tell me they appreciate them. So that's enough for me.
There's a few really generative and great places that I go for like community around global issues. I'll post them in the chat.
Yeah, that'd be great. Please. I'd love to write about that too. All right, well, it is 8:04. I want to stop here, and I told Russell I would open this up in prayer, and then maybe somebody could close us down. So, just ask that we take a couple of breaths. Gosh, our planet is so fragile. If we see the pictures from where the space is right now, we see just the atmosphere is separating us from space. We're breathing in the atmosphere right now with gratitude. We're not separate from the planet. We are the planet emerged to a level of self-awareness. And we rape ourselves with this kind of violence. But we can't other the violence and the violent ones because this exacerbates the problem. So we stand or sit with dignity, lamenting, but also courageous, knowing that every action of love counts. So I ask you now to join me surrounding the world, particularly the Middle East, Iran, especially, with whatever color of love light that emerges for you in your heart that says love and peace. May our building forth group somehow be an instrument of this peace, love. We ask for forgiveness, for we know not what we do. We ask for the courage to change the things that we can change. Bless this talk tonight. Bless our brother Russell as we learn more about other ways to understand you, O Creator. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Doug. Very nice. Very nice. Okay, so we're going to talk about Unitarianism and then how it turned into Unitarian Universalism. I don't do a lot of slide decks, but it's been a good experience for me. I'm going to try to share my screen now. And then I want to make sure that the presentation is working. So you guys see this, right? My keynote program. Okay. Now is it full frame? I can't see you guys. Could somebody just kind of chime in if you can see it full frame?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's
great.
there.
All right. Thank you. All right. Unitarian Universalism, the first Unitarian Church of Dallas, specially made for building forth. We're going to talk about the history of Unitarianism, which is actually kind of a history of a thought line that goes way back to the Council of Nicaea. And then we'll see kind of what it turned into over the centuries to become what it is today. And then I'll talk about my church, the First Unitarian Church of Dallas, and then my personal experience. So here we go. And if anybody wants to help with the pronunciations, this Texas boy is just doing the best he can. But I believe it's pronounced Arias. Way back, he was the equivalent of a bishop, church clergy, and a thought leader. Thought to be the founder of Arianism. I'm going to mess that up. Arianism. No, Arianism. Anyway. His teachings argue that Jesus was created by God and therefore not eternal. So there were many views. First 300 years of Christianity, there was already violence being done between groups of trying to establish doctrine. This is why Constantine called for the Council of Nicaea in 325, trying to work this stuff out, try to get unity in his kingdom. And so on his dime, he called all the important religious Christians together to work it out. There was a big argument between Arianism and the Trinity people, Trinitarians, as they believed that Jesus, God, and the Holy Ghost were really all the same and eternal. And Arius was saying that it was actually that Jesus was not eternal, that he was made by God. To us today, it probably seems like a fairly small argument, small point, but it was super important to them. So Arius was, and Arianism was declared heresy, and he was sent away and exiled. And then Arianism kept around between the different kingdoms, the different kings and everything else. So it was kind of a running thread. And actually, the story goes that towards the end of his life, Arianism was back in favor and on his way to the first communion that he was able to have. And all the time since he had been exiled, he died while going to his communion. And there was a lot of talk that he was poisoned. So that's a little bit of the kind of environment that was going on there. So now we move forward a couple of centuries, and Michael Servetus is considered by many to be the martyr of Unitarianism, even though Unitarianism wasn't really quite called that yet, and I don't think that he considered himself a Unitarian because such a thing didn't exist, but definitely was an adherent of Arianism. And was a very brilliant man. Was a polymath. He was good in all the sciences. He was a physician. He's credited with figuring out that the blood flowed from the left side of the heart to the right. A brilliant man with many abilities. This was the time of the Protestant Reformation, which he was very much a part of. He read and spoke in many languages. In his studies, he read the Bible in its original Greek language. This led him to rejecting the doctrine of the Trinity. Didn't make sense to him. Didn't think that's what the Bible was saying, and which put him, at odds with mainstream Catholic Christology. Servetus was very outspoken. He wrote a lot, published a lot for that time. He hoped that the dismissal of the Trinitarian dogma would make Christianity more appealing to believers in Judaism and Islam, because they had preserved the unity of God in their teachings. I think he was kind of forward-looking and looking for Christianity that would appeal to more folks. Another contemporary of Servetus was John Calvin, yes, of Calvinism fame. They had an ongoing, tenuous relationship. Servetus sent Calvin an advanced copy of his book, arguing against Trinitarianism. In reply, John Calvin sent him his new book, which was all about the Trinitarianism, a summary of the Trinitarian Christian doctrine, which was becoming, the orthodox view. Servetus promptly returned it, thoroughly annotated with critical observations. He was not afraid to make a fuss or cook up some dust. There followed a heated and lengthy correspondence between Trinity doctrine and between Calvin and Servetus about Trinity doctrine. Calvin got upset and had his feelings hurt and cut off Servetus to tone. Servetus, of course, kept publishing and talking and presenting his ideas. It came to the point where Servetus was convicted of heresy. This was in Geneva by Calvin and his cronies. He was imprisoned, tried, and burned at the stake. There's a lot of stories about how this came to be. He was actually convicted in absentia. He was arrested. He was imprisoned. He escaped from prison 3 days later. They had a trial where he wasn't there. Then they burned him in effigy and his book. And then he goes back to Geneva. Now, some things I read are like he accidentally went to Geneva, which in a 7-mile-per-hour world, I don't know how you would do that. He didn't get off on the wrong exit. But anyway, even after being tried and found a heretic, he went to Geneva. He went to a talk that Calvin was giving. And lo and behold, he was arrested again and sentenced to death. Calvin and some of his friends were trying to be nice and said, well, let's just behead him. But actually, no, the law called for him to be burned. So the story goes he was burned on green wood, very slow death. So kind of an ugly chapter. Still the ideas, the anti-Trinitarian ideas were still spreading. Servetus's execution was widely denounced, and Calvin received harsh criticism about it. There are various opinions about how involved Calvin was in it, but it was a reaction. Other anti-Trinitarian thinkers began to be more cautious in expressing their views, obviously. However, his ideas and writings continue to spread and be advocated by others. The reaction to his execution has been interpreted as a significant moment in the emergence of the idea of religious tolerance in Europe, of the freedom to have your own consciousness and views on religion. And writings of Servetus had direct influence on the beginning of the Unitarian movement in Poland and Transylvania. That's where it kind of took hold, began to be called Unitarianism, and where Unitarian became legally recognized by the king in Transylvania in 1568. These ideas continue to spread. There was still persecution. Ideas did spread to England. And by the late 18th century, they were more public, and it also traveled to America with the immigrants. So now we're going to talk about Unitarianism in early America. Unitarianism kind of took hold in the New England area. Boston is kind of considered the Unitarian homeland. It's a very strong religion there. If you're not from New England or the East Coast, there's a good chance you've never heard of Unitarianism. That was my situation. And it kind of took root in the liberal wing of the Congregational Church. Unitarians were very involved in the American Revolution. Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, Paul Revere, Ben Franklin held Unitarian views. And many of the Unitarian churches were preaching, supporting the colonial independence. And as there became a division with the Congregational churches, Unitarian Association declared, okay, we are the American Unitarian Association in 1825. I put the old meeting house on the Lexington Green there because of its importance in the first battle of the Revolutionary War, where most of the men of the congregation were in the Lexington militia, which was the one that was involved in there, and it served as an organizing point, hospital, and site of memorial for slain soldiers. So very active Unitarianism kind of at the beginning. As we move on down the timeline, I'm going to highlight a couple of kind of significant figures. People hold Ralph Waldo Emerson as a Unitarian, and he was a Unitarian minister. He found it to be too formal of a religion and had problems with serving communion. So I didn't include him so much because most people know about him and because he left his pulpit and became, kind of the forebearer of transcendentalism, which William Ellery Channing also followed. But I find this guy to be much more exciting. Former Unitarian preacher, very powerful, kind of set the tone of what Unitarianism means in America. Gave a sermon in 1819, Baltimore sermon, which articulated the core tenets of Unitarian Christianity, as it was called then, still considered a Christian religion, rejecting the Trinity in favor of the unity of God and emphasizing human goodness and reason. This is also as people are beginning to have a humanist view of Jesus. He was an articulate in impassioned sermons and a prominent thinker of the theology. He gave a famous sermon, Likeness to God, entitled Likeness to God, the idea of human potential be like God, which Channing advocated as a grounded firmly in Scripture, was seen as heretical by the Calvinist religious establishment of his day. This has been a rather long-running discourse between Calvinism and that. And now we're going to move to Theodore Parker, that was who I really was speaking of when I misspoke. Theodore Parker was a contemporary of Ralph Waldo Emerson. Ralph Waldo Emerson was influenced by William Ellery Channing. So I got my timeline there. Sorry. So this guy was living his religion. This is why I like him in particularly. He was a good speaker, drew large crowds. At one point, his congregation had over 2,000 people in it, which is a lot. He was self-taught on many subjects. He walked the 10 miles to go to Harvard to apply. He caught in, couldn't afford it, so went back to the farm, a 10-hour walk away, continued his studies, and then would walk to Harvard to take the test with his classmates. His first manuscript, History of the Jews, outlined his skepticism, biblical miracles, and a liberal approach to the Bible. And these were themes that he carried throughout his career. They positioned that, and transcendentalists too, the world as divine and themselves as part of his divinity. He espoused his belief that the traditions of historic Christianity did not reflect the truth, arguing instead for a type of Christian belief and worship in which the essence of Jesus' teachings remained permanent, but the words, tradition, and other form of their conveyance did not. This was a clean and open break with Orthodox theology. Again, very outspoken, willing to make bold statements. He influenced, had a lot of people in his congregation. He was very popular, included influential figures such as Louisa May Alcott, William Lloyd Garrison, Julia Ward Howe, Elizabeth Cady Stanton. He became very involved and concerned about social reform movements of his time. He described such movements as divinely inspired. He thought that was part of our spirituality and religion to become involved in the issues and the important things of our time. He was an ardent abolitionist. Harvard escaped slaves. Some people say he kept a gun in the pulpit, but it's more commonly believed that he just had a gun on his desk while he wrote sermons in case the slave catchers showed up. And he was one of the Secret Six. He was one that financially supported the abolitionist John Brown, who led the raid on Harper's Ferry. I don't know how much history you guys have, but that's pretty radical. His words and popular quotations later inspired speeches by Abraham Lincoln and Martin Luther King. My favorite, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. I say this to myself all the time, particularly like when we were talking about current affairs. I just have to believe that it is bending and it will go towards justice. I can look at history and see that while it took a long time and it was rather messy and slow, things have bent towards justice. And then also he's credited with the saying of a democracy of all the people, by all the people, for all the people, which Lincoln also, who read pamphlets, we know that he was given a pamphlet of Parker's before he wrote his Gettysburg Address. Okay, so now let's go forward to what we have now. The Unitarian Church and the Universalist Church joined together in 1961. I didn't think this was the right place to go into the history of universalism. I don't know that much about it. I do know that one of the important concepts is the idea of universal salvation. There is no original sin. We are not born bad. There is no hell. The religions joined together in 1961. My understanding is that there was a lot of actually financial reasons why they joined together. And they became the Unitarian Universalist Association. That's the central organizing of the Unitarian religion in America, but they don't really govern. They just provide resources. Each congregation is autonomous and governs itself. Approximately 215,000 people in North America identify as Unitarian Universalist. This figure was in 2024, and there are over 1,000 congregations. I want to point out that I attend a large congregation. A lot of Unitarian congregations are small, and the type of services they have and stuff like that is different than what the bigger church that I go to do. So there are some congregations with 50 people and even smaller. Unitarian Universalism is a non-creedal religion. There are no required beliefs. You don't have to get up and say anything or profess anything. It is open to multiple religious traditions, focused on ethics, social justice, and personal spiritual exploration. That has been exactly my experience. I know that the Unitarian church I go to at one point had an atheist as its senior minister. And the amount of Christianity is kind of an ongoing conversation, and we'll go into that a little bit later too. So modern day Unitarian Universalism, it's been governed since 61. They came up with the 7 principles. And these reflect the deeply held values and kind of the moral guide. First principle being the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Second principle, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. Third principle, acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations. Fourth principle, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. Fifth principle, the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and society at large. The goal, sixth principle, the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. The seventh principle, respect for the independent web of all existence in which we are a part. I think this is a pretty good summation, kind of gives us some guidance. In 2024, the UUA also released the core shared values, which is kind of a rethinking to kind of show it differently. I think that this graphic, this is how they released it, shows that all love is the most important. And these are the things that circulate and support it. And you have the chalice in the middle there. The chalice is a symbol of Unitarian Universalism. I'm going to go back to this slide. Flaming chalice is the symbol of UU. It represents religious freedom, the light of reason, love, hope, and community. Before Unitarianism joined with Universalism, it was just a lighted chalice. The two circles, connecting circles, represent the two religions coming together. And the offset, the reason why the chalice is offset, the Universalism logo was originally a cross, also offset, and a circle. And with the thought being that there's always room for more ideas, more ways to learn to worship. I've always enjoyed that. Okay, so now we're going to move on to my church, the First Unitarian Church of Dallas. I'm just going to give you a couple of examples. It has a pretty, it has been an important church in Dallas since 1899. Daniel Christian Limbaugh was a traveling minister, Unitarian minister, that was asked to give a talk. It went well. He got asked several more times. This is by the Temple Emmanuel, which to this day has a very strong relationship with our church. And our church is also involved in the multi-faith organization that Dallas has. By the end of the year of 1899, the church had organized and had 32 members. They met at Temple Emmanuel until they secured their own building. The First Unitarian Church of Dallas has hosted several other congregations that were without buildings, most notably the Muslim temple, but a Muslim congregation gets started here in Dallas, and they met at the First Unitarian Church. Also, we have a Cathedral of Hope, which is a mostly gay-centric church that had nowhere to be, had nobody ministering to the AIDS patients and the other stuff that was happening in the 80s. And we were their home until they were able to get their own congregation, their own church. And also, I also find this interesting, and I'm proud to say First Unitarian Church of Dallas played a foundational active role in Roe v. Wade by fostering early advocacy, forming the Dallas Committee for the Study of Abortion in 1969, and supporting the legal team that fought to make abortion legal. Its members, particularly of the Women's Alliance, aided in filing an amicus brief. The Women's Alliance is still a very strong organization within the church, doing great work. And that's very good. So Unitarians, Universalists can have a tough time trying to explain our religion because we don't have the certainty and the big statement to make. This is from our website. I think it does a good job of explaining what Unitarian Universalism is. I'll let you guys read it. We have a very large LGBTQ plus members in our congregation. It is what has normalized for me, watching families, my daughter growing up through the church. It has normalized non-binary and transsexuals because I know them and spend time, and a lot of the worry about it all goes away when you actually spend time with somebody and get to know them and realize the humanness of it all. as you can see, there are many different types of folks, and I know pagans, I know atheists that go to our church, um, and it's really kind of a beautiful mix. No creeds, no barriers, just a deep commitment to building a more compassionate, just, and joyful world. We've already covered kind of how the Universalist Unitarians got together. I think I said the word non-creedal church. And the affirmation we'll look at in just a second. And also, Unitarian Universalism continues to change. It's not ever going to be just what it was. It's going to be what it turns into. There's a lot to know and a lot to learn, a lot to experience. So I think the affirmation of our church is a great way to sum it up. When people ask me, well, what kind of religion is Unitarianism? I refer to the affirmation. I think it says it great. We say this in unison at every service at the beginning. Love is the doctrine of our church. We mean that. Everybody deserves love. Everybody is welcome in that church. We are very active in protest and marches. We have these great shirts that say, I stand on the side of love. And that sums it up very well. Where the love is where we'll go. The quest of truth is a sacrament. One of our ministers gave a great sermon about sacrament. And we've been having a series of sermons about reclaiming religious language. And she pointed out that, I guess, some religions have 2 sacraments. I think Catholicism has 7 or 2. I get that fused. But she pointed out that Unitarianism, Universalism has an infinite number of sacraments, because it's the questioning and the asking and the searching that turns something into holy, turns something into divine, that can make it a sacrament. And I always really enjoyed that kind of view of that. Services is prayer. That is no joke. We are encouraged to go out and volunteer and serve. Last year was our 125-year anniversary, and we were asked to go and spend 125 hours of community service and volunteerism. And it's really, that's demonstrated in the various ways and organizations within our church to serve and volunteer, to dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, and to the end that all souls shall grow in harmony with the divine, thus do we covenant with each other. And we finished that by singing our doxology. From all that dwell below the skies, let songs of faith and hope arise. Let peace, goodwill on earth be sung through every land, by every tongue. And I think that's a pretty good summation of what we're about. So the First Unitarian Church of Dallas has a church. Of the first time that I went, and I'll talk a little bit more about how I ended up there, I was surprised how similar it was to the church services that I grew up in as a disciple of Christ church. I don't know what I was expecting, but I didn't expect it to be quite as much like the services I had seen. And again, this is not all Universalist Unitarian churches are like this. So but this particular one, we start with the lighting of the chalice. We call to worship. We sing a hymn. A lot of the hymns have been commandeered or borrowed from other faiths, and the words change. There's a joke, a Unitarian joke about why you can't get Unitarians to sing hymns in church, and it's because they're all too busy reading ahead to see if they agree. And that joke's very true. There is still a lot of discussion sometimes about a song the choir sings, and the choir debates about whether this particular word is correct or is the right word we want to use, or is everybody okay with singing that word? That is another mark, Unitarian Universalism. Then we usually have a story of the children relating to the sermon topic. There's, they make it fun and on their level. And they're said, we sing them out to their classes. We have the welcome and church news and offertory while music plays. We have readings that come from all over Sometimes it's from the Bible, other times it's poetry, other times it's been from the Quran. Whatever the ministers find support what they're saying in their sermons. And I really enjoy that. We have the Welcome in Church News. We have an offertory while the music plays. We give 100%. So we have, of the 4 Sundays of the month, the first Sunday they pick a nonprofit organization that we give the entire offering to, and then they get half of the rest of the Sunday's offerings. And the members of the church nominate what organizations receive those. Church readings, and I went over that: musical interlude, prayer, hymn, sermon, hymn, benediction, musical postlude. So pretty standard church stuff. We have 2 choirs, one that you have to audition for, one you don't. That's called Kindred Voices. We have a full-time music director and organist. I list these things because I think it's a large church with a large budget, and they can afford to have these things, which are, again, not always found at other Unitarian Universalist churches. We have full-time music as an organist. We have music provided professional musicians, and other than choir, but also a lot of our church members are professional musicians and contribute quite a bit. And then we have a wide range of adult and children's religious education classes. I wanted to concentrate on AL, Our Whole Lives, which is a sexuality education curriculum. I remember first time that I heard about this, as I was looking in the RE for my daughter, I was like, that's weird, church that has sex education? And I started thinking about it, and like, yeah, same place you go to learn about morals and your spirituality. It's a great place to learn about your sexuality, actually. So this is a curriculum that is developed, as you see, by the United Church of Christ and the UUA. It has now been turned into, while still having it in our church, it has become a standalone nonprofit that has adapted the curriculum and now takes it out to public schools, private schools, other organizations, anywhere where this vital information is needed. And I'm really proud the office at the church. I'm really proud that we have that going on. My daughter, of course, went through all this. They have sessions, kind of a curriculum for 6-year-olds. I think it's 5 or 6. Another couple of lessons or sessions another year when they're 11, 12. And then I think the third one is 16, 17, which is where they put the condoms on the bananas, which is always exciting part for everybody, parents included. But I think it's really great value that the church adds. All right. Also things that the church has that I consider very beneficial: live streaming of services. This is something that I do. I'm a video professional in my career. I volunteered to do this while the main guy put together a system. We have 7 cameras, remote control cameras in the sanctuary. When he was paid staff member, and I would volunteer to give him a break from being there every Sunday. And when he retired, I took over for an interim basis until I could find another professional to kind of take on the producing and running of everything. And then I still do probably 2 Sundays a month. And I do get paid. We have 2 audio people that are also there on services. They also get paid. It gives us a very professional quality videos in our services. Sermons get turned into podcast, both audio and then also video. There's also an original series called Tiny Pulpit Talks, which is a takeoff on Tiny Desk Concerts from PBS. And it's a wide-ranging number of talks, everything from the ICE crackdown and what we can do to help immigrants to, our Unitarians, Christians. So, and these are published not only on the church's website, but also they have a YouTube channel. And they also have a very active social media presence. Our communications director is doing a great job of getting word out and getting more folks and just, kind of raising our profile, which I think is great. I'm going to now go to the church's website so we can kind of see. I want to illustrate a couple of things there. Come on. Trying to get my mouse over to the stop share. Maybe I just do that. Okay. All right. Pardon me while I bumble around here. Okay. Are you guys seeing the website? Yeah?
No, not yet.
No. Oh, okay.
There we go.
Okay. Good. Thank you. Yeah. So this gives you a little bit of idea. If you really want to know more about the church, there's a lot to see. I kind of use some of their stuff for the illustrations for that. But as you can see, we have Faith Forward, a lot of different classes of various things. We do partner with a Unitarian church in India. Our senior pastor goes every year, takes about 5 or 6 congregants, and they spend time in India with the Unitarian church there, which is it's kind of developed on its own. It's been a very interesting cultural exchange. Give you an idea, pastoral care, we have a full-time person for pastoral care that also started a lot of some programs for more of the elderly folks in our church. Unforgettable Friends, which is doing a lot of stuff to get them out of the houses, and also if they, particularly if they're having dementia, Alzheimer. Reproductive Dignity is something that we continue to pursue. We started a Truth Pregnancy Resource Center that is for expectant mothers and people finding out and kind of giving a true understanding of what their options that they have. The church also escorts women to New Mexico. It's they have to qualify. It's almost always low income. There's a plans of qualifying, but that is also, I think, important work that the church does. And just a lot of ways for us to connect. So I encourage you, if you want to know more about it, to see, to visit the website, dallasuu.org. This is an example of our YouTube page. All of the sermons get turned into standalone sermons for podcast. Also goes out audio-wise. The communications director also makes these great shorts, which she puts, I guess, on Instagram and other kind of short media stuff. Sermons, here's the Tiny Pulpit Talks. One recent one was Are Unitarians Christians? Another one is, why do Unitarians celebrate Easter? Which we do. I meant to go over that. We celebrate actually all the major Christian holidays, Christmas, Easter. We have a very moving Maundy Thursday service with a Tenenbaum, which we serve communion at. We have one of our Christmas services we serve communion at. So there's a lot of Christianity rituals still in the process. So I'm going to stop there, and I just want to go over a little bit about how am I doing on time? 45. Okay, this won't take long. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to take them. I had never heard of Unitarian Universalism as a kid or anything else. I first heard about it by listening to Prairie Home Companion. I don't know how many people are familiar with that radio program, Garrison Keillor. And on that program, one of the bits was that the Unitarians would always be in these deep conversations, whatever was going on, wherever they were kind of haggling and trying to work things out through conversation and talk. And oh no, we should be doing this. Are you sure we should do this? And it was all very humorous. I found it pretty funny. Then my daughter was born, and my wife met another mom with a similar age child at the grocery store. They hit it off and became friends. And play groups. I got to meet her and her husband, Daniel, who happened to be an associate minister at the First Unitarian Church. And he asked me to make a film for the church, which we did. And I remember the first time I stepped on the campus, I went to a service, and in the process saw 6 people that I already knew, which is kind of a common story for Unitarian Universalists. Is when the first time they go, they see all these other people that they knew and had no idea went to this church. And we started attending, put our daughter into the religious education, definitely into the AL, which was great because, by the time she was in high school, she told us that she knew more than most of her friends, and she became a source of information for them. And as I continued to go, and worked there and volunteer, just really felt like it punched all the buttons for what I needed at a church. And also, sometimes the music made me cry. Always walked away from a sermon with something to chew on for a week or so. And I just felt that I was growing, and certainly became more comfortable around a wider variety of people than I was before I started going. Anyway, so that's what I have. I hope that was informative, you guys. Would love to take any questions if I can answer. Yeah, thank you.
Want to say fantastic, tremendous, just really great. And I'm inspired by the fact that there's humans out there that are doing this kind of work, and so grateful you're a part of our group here just to share that. So maybe one question I would have, and I'm interested in hearing other people's reactions too. One question I would have is how might the church understand suffering, or something along those lines? Like, you said there's a full-time pastoral care person there, but is sort of this idea of suffering mentioned or talked about, or when people go through the kind of pain, what might be a way to help them?
Well, certainly, and that's very interesting you bring that up, because at our last discussion of building forth, but anyway, there is, like I said, a full-time counselor for church members, particularly trained in when people die and death and handling that kind of suffering, grieving. She's a grieving counselor. And our discussion last week, and there was a tie-in with a sermon, and that suffering is, and this was my thoughts after listening to both, is kind of what our buy-in is to being human. Like if say if we did choose a human life, it's kind of like the Disneyland of human suffering. We know going in that we're going to suffer. That's why we do it, because that is an integral part of the human condition, is that we are going to suffer. And that doesn't answer about Unitarian Universalist perspective per se, but it is something that by participating with this group helped me see. So I don't know, Doug, how to answer that. I mean, certainly suffering is part of the human condition, and we realize that.
Yeah, I was just wondering, because I'm mindful that like I think you guys put most of the spiritual traditions I know to shame with your sensitivity to current issues and social justice issues. I love all of that. And I think it sounds like to me, you're a macro movement to help other people's suffering. So it's people just have like super massive open hearts for that. And I was
Well,
just simply wondering if there's a way that, let's say, suffering is understood if an individual has it, or if there's some kind of way that's met there too. It's just, I'm a counselor, so these are the things that I think about.
yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, certainly our social justice bit, which is very real. I mean, and it's not just, oh, feel sorry for them. It's like, let's do something. Particularly racial justice. One of the most active organizations in the church, whose name just went out of my head. So the suffering of others, I would say, gets the most attention. And what can we do to help, or just to change? I can't really remember more of a personal view of suffering that we've talked about. It's very interesting observation. And I hope too that, and I don't think that the church does really puts down anybody else's religion. That is um, not the intent, or rarely even the discussion from the pulpit or within the church. We have a lot of people that are refugees from other religions that find Unitarianism, but except for the church is actively bashing gay folks and coming down on that, and trans folks. We all are searching for the truth and on the path. So how many people had heard of Unitarian Universalism before today? Good. So obviously most of the people that have religious training and background.
I had, but I've kind of forgotten everything. So good refresher. Been a while.
Our ministers go to the same, uh, places that the other ministers get trained. Most ministers, in my understanding, are all trained together, regardless of what religion they're going to. Is that true, Troy?
I can't tell you. They don't all go to Dallas Theological Seminary. That's
Yeah. Well, no, that's one of the more conservative ones.
But certainly some of the more broad places, like I visit. Gwen and I visited the Plano Church, which wasn't far from us, and we just went once.
How big was it? I've never been in any other congregation, so I'm kind of
300,
300,
200, 300, something like that.
Were their services kind of like?
Yeah, they were kind of like standard church, and we weren't real super big on standard church at that point, and didn't feel quite enough Christian for us. But
Right.
nothing against it. That was just kind of our one-time reaction.
Right. I think it's interesting how Unitarian Universalism has. I mean, it was called Christian Universalism. I mean, Christian Unitarianism at the beginning, or Christian Universalism. They both used that and moved away. And there's plenty of Jesus in our church and talks and stuff, mainly held up as the teacher and what there is we can learn from him. But yeah, I can see that.
What really amazed me is how far back it goes. I had no idea. That it goes to like a 200 years post Christ, 150 years. And it was, I mean, when was those dates that first?
The Council of Nicaea of 325.
Okay, yeah.
Well, if you go back to the church, some of the church fathers, there was a strong universalist trend in some of their thinking before they got more super dogmatic through some of these council actions.
Yeah, I knew that it was a tumultuous time. I didn't know just how they were duking it out. There was violence involved. There were many different ideas about what Christianity should be, what the teachings of Jesus should be used, and it wasn't going well. It was not a peaceful argument from what I read.
Was it? Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Eduardo asked a question in the chat. He was saying he has questions about what the sermons of the Unitarian Church exactly look like, since the basis is focused so strongly on love. What do the sermons entail?
Sure. Let me share the because I can show you right here.
If I could just get the name of the YouTube channel, I could check it out.
Yeah, it's First Unitarian Church of Dallas. So here's a look at some recent sermons. As I said, they've been having a reclaiming religious language. So besides our Easter, we celebrate Easter as resurrection. It's a new beginning for everybody. Spring is our chance to renew ourselves. TJ gave a good sermon about what Christ means. When we say Christ, confession was an interesting one because that was a pretty foreign concept for many Unitarians. Daniel had an anonymous confession kind of board where about 50 people made confessions, which he then meditated on and spoke a little bit, of course, anonymously. Sacrament. And then if you go through there, we usually have, but love is at the center of our UU shared values. It's just intertwined, It's like, where is the love? How do we see that love and experience that love and react and base our actions on that love? That makes sense. So there's a lot. If you want to see, please check it out.
Thank you.
Yeah.
One thing is, I just want to say to you, thank you for putting so much time and effort into that amazing presentation. We were able to follow you not only with the slides, but for a guy who says he doesn't do a lot of presentations, to me, it came across well. Your energy was nice and even too. I mean, everything, you're natural. So it was an exciting thing. And for me, I was really interested in feeling your energy since this is sort of your tradition. And I can see why you love it. It's in your pores as you talk about it. So thank you for that.
Well, I thank you for the opportunity. It was really kind of fun. And it's just because I feel like I'm a part of something important. And that where a lot of it comes from. Thanks to everybody.
Well, it is 1 minute till. Would somebody volunteer, please, to close this down? We'll meet next week.
I will.
Okay, thank you.
We lift our hearts to you with gratitude for your unending love. May we meet in every soul feeling weary, lonely, or heavy with burdens. May they be wrapped in your comforting embrace. Breathe hope where there is doubt, joy where there is sorrow, and peace where there is unrest. Remind us every day is a new day. It is a gift, and every moment is filled with purpose. Fill our hearts with your presence today, and let your love shine through all that we do. Amen.
Amen.
May it be. God bless everybody. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, Russell.
Peace.
Peace out.